You are now listening.
You are now listening
to the Black Male Educators Alliance podcast.
Lifting our voices.
Lifting our voices.
Welcome back to another episode of the BMEA Podcast, Lifting Our Voices. I am your co-host, Michael Payne, with the illustrious co-host that I have here, the Honorable,
revered,
here
we go.
Dr. Curtis L. Lewis. Not because he's too humble, so I got to make sure people know, just in case they don't know
Stay
you.
that way.
Yeah, for sure. I got you.
Jesus was humble.
Chuck D had a hype, man. You know what I'm saying? That's right?
That's good, man. That's good. How you been, man?
I'm doing well, man. Warming up. That's a blight.
Sort of.
It's sort of warming up. I can see it on the horizon. You know what I'm saying? Having this on the other side. I'm doing well, busy as ever, working with the mentoring program with the kids, but that's been good. We had an arcade night Saturday.
Yeah.
We had all the schools come together and the parents come out, and that was really dope to see.
Yeah, I saw that, man. That was good stuff.
It was good feeling, man. Kids meeting each other, and this generation ain't as social.
Yeah.
They don't have as many opportunities.
It's social online.
Right, which is different than in person.
Correct.
And the skills, so like, hey, say your name, introduce yourself to that person. That was something new for them, so that was really interesting. And it was really interesting seeing the parents interacting with some of the other kids too, man. I think that that community feel was really dope. Yeah. So I'm glad it came out the way that it did.
Yeah, I feel like y'all owning something over there.
I feel like it too, man. It's something for sure.
Yeah. You wanna I know I want to introduce him in a second. I'm gonna have you introduce him in a second, but I did have some I want to say, I was just thinking about the theme, lifting our voices. Who voices are we lifting? It just popped, I'm in one of those moods today.
The hour
lifting our voices. So we lifting who?
Voices of
our community.
That's what I.
Okay. Hopefully our guests can help us do that as well today too.
Exactly.
I think we got the right man for that.
No, we do. And our theme for this episode is investing in our community, right?
Oh, okay.
And getting black men to invest in our community. And I think we do that in the educational space, but I think we also take time to look at it. How do you do that in another avenue? So before we get to our guests, how are you doing? I want to make sure I check.
Man, you know what? I appreciate that, man. I'm doing all right, man. I am, trying to live my purpose, man, doing, what I think God has called me to do. Mm-hmm. So it's hard, but I feel good every time I get up. It's stressful, but it's like that good stress. If that's such a thing, it's purposeful stress, and so it feels good to be working on your own stuff, doing it your way, having great people around me that's pushing me to better. So I'm great, man. How about you? You about to say something?
To that point, I think that what I've been, I don't say struggling with, but what I've been growing through is like the transition from having structured like responsibilities and like this is what you do, this is like what your job is, and to having like this freedom of creativity almost, right, where like you're building new and growing things. I think that's an adjustment to make, like having to set your own goals or set your own expectations or kind of like see beyond like just the box, thinking outside the box in education, which doesn't happen a lot if you worked in classrooms and stuff like that. Like it's definitely a different thing.
No, we train. I tell y'all this all the time. We are trained to just do.
Yes.
And I had a wonderful brother, Dr. Marvin McKinney, that's my guy, told me years ago, you always running, just go. You sit down and get paid to think, right? Like there's value in thinking.
Yes.
Sometimes we doing it, you ain't thinking and you just doing something, you don't even know you're doing it with no purpose, no intentions, right? But we got to value being able to sit still and think, and oftentimes black folks, because we've been, ingrained, we got to show people that we're about this, right? But our thinking is just as important as the actions behind it, right? So we need to be doing the thinking and spending time doing it. And you in positions like this, transitioning from that K-12 space where it's like constantly go, put out fires, work. It's hard to, transition to this idea of, wait, it's freedom. It's freedom of time. It's freedom to think, freedom to be creative, like you said, right? Freedom to be creative. And our children need that space to be able to do that as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a great transition. I think it's something worth striving to get to, because I think we're at our best selves. All our great leaders had time to think, right? But we don't. All we saw is what they did. But when Malcolm or Martin or whoever went out, and all our great leaders, they spent time thinking before they made any decisions. And we gotta practice that as a community and teach our younger kids to do that. But I'm gonna be quiet because I hear my boy over here.
He ready.
Cool, amen. And so we gotta go ahead and introduce the brother.
Yes,
He can come into our hot topics.
So our guest today He is the founder, executive director of the Umoja Debate Team. He's a community activist and leader. That's just some of the titles. I'm going to let him talk more about himself, but we have Mr. Jerjuan Howard today. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Glad to be here, bro.
Appreciate you having us and being here with us, being a part of the show. Tell the folks a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then why you do it.
Absolutely. So, 25-year-old, born and raised on the west side of Detroit, Michigan. A few titles. I'm an author of A Message to Black College Students. As mentioned, I'm the founder and executive director of Umoja Debate Team. I'm a veteran, an educator, and overall, I consider myself a community builder. Those are a few of the things that I kind of do, but my main thing right now is Umoja Debate Team for Detroit youth, ages 11 through 15.
I'm going to say this, man. You know, I was joking on before we got started, so, you know, I'm going to mess with you now. I've met this guy about a year, probably over a year. It was over a year ago because I remember talking to Tyree on the phone, and we had already sort of introduced ourselves via text. And, you know, there's a lot of great 25-year-olds out here. Let me just put that out there. But this guy over here, man, Tyree go way back. You know, shout out to Tyree Williams and Pillar and Pride out there on Woodward. I don't remember how they call it, 7 Mile and Woodward. Yeah. They doing some good, healthy stuff for the community out there, so I want to shout them out. But Tyree and I go back from our, like, political activist days back at MSU. Mm-hmm. And Tyree don't mess around with everybody. And so he was very adamant, like, you got to meet this brother. He's doing great stuff. I feel like y'all to work well together. We've been communicating and texting. This is my first day meeting him in person. First day meeting him in person. And I feel like I know this brother. I mean, we've you know, you could test somebody long enough. You can get to know him over the course of the year. And I was so impressed with, like, he's serious about his work. Yeah. Right? And I know we'll get a chance to dig in a little further today, but, like, I just want to shout you out, man, because you're young and you're not using, like, I'm young, so I got time to play around. You're like, no, this is serious, man, and the work you're doing and back in the city where you come from, I think is extremely important, man. And I want to say, because a lot of our young folks who get involved in this, sometimes they get caught in their head and start doing stuff for other reasons. Like, I know you're doing it for the people. I know you're doing it for the love and for your purpose. So just want to shout you out, man, and keep doing the work you're doing. That. And I'm standing 10 toes behind you.
I appreciate that, family. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, let's get into the debate team first, man. So Umoja means unity. Right,
yes, sir. Yep.
And so talk a little bit about the creation of this team and why it's so important.
Absolutely. So back in 2020, it was my senior year of undergrad at Western Michigan, and I was the president of the Black Student Union at the time. And so I would give lectures every week on a variety of topics to the Black student body at Western Michigan. When the pandemic hit, like, all the content and preparation and lessons I had prepared for, it was just on ice. You know, they was just sitting there because we couldn't go on campus. So as a form of self-expression, I found myself just writing essays and essays and essays. Looked up, had a chapter of a book. And so my initial plan right after undergrad was law school. It was like a smooth transition right into it. But I was not going to do law school virtually, and everything was virtual at the time. And so I was thinking of my next move. I know to come back home to Detroit and give back to my community somehow, some way. And that's when I started self-reflecting. And back in high school, I took a debate course that changed my whole life. I wasn't necessarily a shy kid, but if you talk to me, I'll talk to you. I was real chill, laid back. But debate in high school kind of brought all this out of me. I can articulate myself. I'm confident when I speak. All these other different characteristics and skills that I gained through debate, I wanted to get that to Detroit youth. I visit back home, and I'll talk to some old teachers and say conflict resolution is something that's needed. Right? The kids are shy, don't know how to express themselves or advocate for themselves or others. And it was a void that I saw in my community, especially in my neighborhood that I grew up in. And so I started making some calls. I mapped out what age group I wanted to work with. I knew high schoolers are cool, right? But middle school is where you really kind of develop your personality and who you will be, you know, once you get of age. So I knew my target audience was middle schoolers. Nipsey Hussle actually inspired the name Umoja, because I was thinking about something that just made sense, and the marathon continues. The whole message behind that was so dope to me. I had to figure out something, and I was going to go with just Unity Debate Team. Like, no, let's take it a step back further. Let's, like, put some Swahili in there. And that's how Umoja, the name, came about. Began to map out a curriculum, made some calls, started as a pilot program in my own middle school I went to in my neighborhood on Puritan, John R. King. Started there. I had about 15 kids for the first year. That expanded to a summer program in partnership with Detroit Public Schools and Detroit Public Library. Then this year we got a contract with DPSCD where we're inside of 4 middle schools. And so we got about 50 kids inside of our program now. So in year 2, you know what I'm saying, we made a big leap, but that's essentially the origin story of Umoja Debate Team. Is wanting to fill a void. I truly felt like you want to change the community, you got to change mindsets.
Right.
And everything we do is intentional, from the curriculum, from the examples we use. We're showing a great speaker that uses emotion. We showing Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Right. We showing a speaker who is articulate. We showing Frederick Douglass. Right. So it's intentional behind every step of the way why we do what we do, and we have full-blown control over it. The curriculum that we teach, we write it ourselves. Right. So that's a big piece of the puzzle, but that's the origin story.
Man, I want to come visit, man.
Come through, man. Come through.
Did y'all debate what, like, are y'all in a particular lead or?
Nope, so not yet. So we actually got some stuff cooking up with Chicago coming up soon. Right. Yeah. But so right now, like I mentioned, we inside of these 4. I know, because ain't that where you from?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. You gotta go.
But I like we talked over text, man, and got to know each other. That's great. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, no lead, because they're very like fresh and new to this.
Yeah.
Right. So the 4 schools that we're in compete against one another.
Oh, great. That's great.
So, and a big part of this is community. Like I said, I grew up on Puritan and Schaefer. My great-grandparents been over there since the 1930s or whatever the case may be. All 3 of the schools that we're in are right there in the neighborhood. So the direct impact on my community is literally right there. When I moved back home to Detroit from Western Michigan, you know what I'm saying? Like I bought a house 2 blocks away from where I grew up at. So like we fully invest into that community and the kids' futures. So the 4 schools that we're in compete against one another. We have a big debate coming up actually April 8th. This Saturday at Detroit Historical Museum, 11 to 1. We'll be there. The kids will be competing. You get a chance to see what we've been working with up to this point.
Is it open to?
Open to the public.
Okay.
Open to the public. Come check us out. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Detroit Historical Museum.
My son's little birthday gig. I don't know. I got to see if I can get out.
Over there on Woodward. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll see if not, keep us posted on another.
I got you.
For sure.
Absolutely.
We have impactful Saturdays in BMEA.
We do. Actually, we got teacher wellness actually on Saturday from
teacher
11 to 12. I mean 10 to 12 actually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we got urban teachers.
We got urban teachers this week. Yeah.
So we have a partnership with actually the teacher certification program that I came out of. I reached back out to them to really just support them because I know I needed help when I was in there.
Yeah.
And we do wellness and restorative practices for the black males in their organization. And we also do it for our teacher wellness program. But I wanted to say that like one, it's just a dope idea. Right, to have these debate teams. I've always said that like our kids need access to more like programming outside of just sports, right? And you can kind of see what people invest in our kids, and anything that kind of like makes them competitive, makes them like motivated, makes them like push themselves out the boundaries is just good for their like overall success, man.
Facts.
And you know, Morehouse has a debate team. We actually defeated Harvard a few years back, so like I've seen like the space that debate can be for kids and then going all the way into college, man. So that's really, really dope.
I appreciate that.
Have you seen, so like what differences have you seen in like the personalities of the kids you've had just so far?
Oh, man, a tremendous amount. So the kids, it's amazing. Like you will see them as like the shy, timid kid in week 1. By week 6, they fierce. You know what I'm saying? They know how to articulate themselves and they arguing with you about anything essentially. Yeah. Right. And they know how to research and back up what they're saying. So they come out of their shell completely. And that's, like I said, it's rewarding for me to see that because that's what this program is meant to do. It's meant to give people their voice, to give the youth a voice, and be able to do something outside of just the ordinary after-school programs that we kind of are exposed to.
So, man, and you were speaking to this too, Payne, and I appreciate your follow-up with that. I think we cannot stress enough the importance of sort of those outside programs or programs that we're doing within schools that are coming from sort of outside organizations and the work that you're doing. You know, I went to, speaking of stuff outside of sports, my high school paid, and I don't think I share this a lot, but I went to Loomis Chaffee, which is a very elite, private, white boarding school on the East Coast, outside of Hartford, Connecticut. And I really got introduced to debate then. And learn to debate. I won a trophy. Like I was killing him. I was killing him.
Okay.
And I still use the skills to this day. Trust me. Yeah, you do not want to debate me. You do not want to debate with me. Especially some stuff I know.
LeBron versus Jordan.
You said what?
LeBron versus Jordan. Go.
Don't even get me started.
Oh yeah, bro from Chicago.
Don't even get me started. Hey, we'll talk about that. You know, it's beyond that, and we'll say that.
Okay.
But I went, man, and that did so much for me. Like just to train, they didn't play in the game. Like we had to do real research. You know, the stuff that I see you, I've seen some clips of the work you're doing. Like you're doing it the right way. I think sometimes we got some debate clubs and stuff out here that people kind of like, I can't even understand what you're saying. So I don't even know how I'm even able to rebut your point if I don't even understand what you're saying. But the work I see that you're doing with them, that stuff is important because that did so much for me to the point where I went back to my high school after that summer, and created a debate team in my school.
I ain't know that.
Yeah, I know. And I'd be sitting here like, I forgot I did this. But, man, just a little bit.
Write it down so we can put it on the website.
I totally forgot all about that, man. That was in the 90s. But it was so tremendous because those skills to this day, even though I went into education, the ability to teach my students, and it's funny because I think about my teaching, I did a lot of debates. Like had my students debate different things in history and all this kind of stuff in class, but didn't even realize where it was coming from. But I'm sitting here listening, I'm like, I forgot I did that. But so the work you're doing, man, I don't think there's enough of that kind of stuff in our classrooms because oftentimes, we already know. I don't beat around the bush. A lot of schools are not doing right by our kids, right? And haven't been for a while, for a long time. And I think it's important for us to start getting creative about what schooling looks like and how do we engage our kids. So stuff like that, I bet you there's skills and techniques that you are teaching those kids that teachers who've been in the profession for a while can learn from. Okay.
Absolutely.
I see you got your hand up.
Using evidence to support your reasoning.
Yeah. Right. We talk about that all the time, right?
Kids will probably get more out of that than the ELA class if the ELA class is just teaching to the test.
Yes.
Right? Or just focus. Because I think, and you actually were in an article about this, like putting joy back in the classroom. Like a lot of these programs provide joy for the kids. And for some reason, we are so, not we, but I'm saying the school system is so anti-joy that it affects the kids and the teachers. So the teachers not enjoying what they're doing. The kids don't enjoy it. They see that you don't enjoy it. It's just a place of misery. And how do we want people to come back to that?
Yeah. So what we call it is kind of disguised learning is what we kind of label debate as. It's disguised learning. They don't even know fully what they're experiencing. But one thing made me extremely happy. We had a Channel 4 News article where they came in and interviewed one of the young men. And he doesn't want to be like a lawyer or a teacher, but he was like, I want to be a chef and I want to design clothes. He's like, debate has helped me be able to articulate the product that I plan to sell to my customers. Like he said, out of his own mouth, he said that. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That, so it translates into so many different areas. Another point that people don't know, Malcolm X, he created a debate team while he was in prison as his baptism to public speaking. So Malcolm X himself said debate was like his base, his ground level of how he became the speaker that he was. So it's so many different, it literally builds leaders and critical thinkers.
Literally builds leaders, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was, I was gonna say this to you because I'm intrigued. Like you're doing the work of an educator, and I consider you an educator, by the way. You may not. Consider you're educator, community activist, all that, right? Why didn't you choose to go into teaching?
So honestly, I guess a piece of the story that I didn't mention, I was for a second. I was an academic interventionist, right, for DPSCD. So when I came back home, 2020, when I graduated December 2020, my first step was Umoja Debate Team, and I talked to the partnerships coordinator at DPSCD. He was like, cool, whatever we need to do to make that happen, but just like an easy way if you get your foot in the door is through this educator position that we have open. I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. And so I started there for a minute, kind of how you all were kind of saying, the classroom atmosphere just wasn't what it could be, right? The regular just school day, like class. It just wasn't what it could be. So that's why I stepped away from that, and then that's when I started taking Umoja full time as as extracurricular activity for the kids. So I mean, I did do education in the classroom for about 3/4 of a school year. But yeah, that's.
I ain't gonna let you. I'm gonna let you slide off of that because I think it's important for us to hit this issue, and I want to make sure I ain't taking us off task. But I think we spend a lot of time talking about we need to increase the number of black males. We know the number went from 1.7, which we call it, round up to 2%. Now it's 1.3. Now we got to round down to 1%, right? So it really went from 2% to 1% of black males in education. And I think it's important as we're trying to promote the profession, also to have these conversations with brothers like you who had an opportunity, and there was something about that space that you was like, never mind.
That's real,
right? And I want to dig into that a little bit because you mentioned like I went in there and I tried it, but then. So what was that? Like, what was that? Because I think that's important for us to talk
really
about, because we can like hype it up all we want, but if we, which I said in the thing that I talked about the other day, it's like we asking people to go into a burning house, right? Or we asking people to go into a hostile environment, and I'm not interested in promoting something, but I know if we don't do this work on this side too, but it's not going to work. It's not going to change anything, right? We're going to have brothers like you who's extremely brilliant, who's doing great work outside of the space, who's going to make that decision instead of I'm going to do this in this space. So I'm going to let you go ahead, bro. I do want you to dig into that.
I got a response too.
And I think whatever is burning that's keeping black men and black women out the classroom is also keeping parents out.
For sure.
So we have to. I think you hit the nail on the head. Like we have to address like why are people and we can talk about salary, but it's bigger than that. I think too.
Absolutely,
it's bigger than that too. And I think it kind of comes back to where we at in this space. Like it needs to feel more like community, but like. What's keeping teachers out is also keeping parents away from being invested in a lot of this. But go ahead, brother.
No, absolutely. So the way I view it, man, if I don't feel impactful in the space, then it's hard for me to stay there. It doesn't matter what the salary is. If I don't feel impactful, that's what drives me. You know what I'm saying? And so curriculum plays a role in that. Like community engagement with like the school plays a role in that. If those things that I think truly make a difference in the kids' lives are like not there, if it's not a curriculum that I think the kids should be learning, that's going to actually make them ready for society, and it's like you have little to no control over that as just like a an educator, a teacher. So I mean, I don't want to just be like caught in a hamster wheel of just teaching them stuff that they don't really need or they won't really, it won't be beneficial to them. So as a result, I'm just going to create my own thing where I can, pour the things into them that I feel and I know for a fact that they need, that our community needs for us to move forward. So that's my main reasoning, essentially, right? I didn't like the curriculum that was being taught to them. I think there has to be more community holistic element to the education space, like the straight just, school day, Monday through Friday. And that just wasn't there, so I started my own thing.
I mean, debate class would be a pretty good class to have in a school. Yeah. You can put all the standards you want in there, evidence-based reasonings, public speaking, communication, research. Because you're absolutely right. No, and that's not your fault. It's to the system, right? We haven't changed anything because we're stuck in this traditional sense for whatever reason, good or like fear or for nefarious reasons, but like when you think about what the community needs, the school needs to fit that. Like the school needs to like be molded to what the community needs in order for people to embrace it and in order for it to be successful.
Exactly.
So 100%.
And so many of these schools that even I go to with my program, they're disconnected from the community to the point where they don't. Like the youth are supposed to be trained to solve the problems of tomorrow for their situation, and that's not happening. Not in Detroit. Not in the schools that I'm in. They're not being trained to solve the problems that their community needs. I think Detroit BPS is like 80-some% black students.
Yep.
They are not thinking about the black issues that are happening in this city. They're not being taught or trained to solve them. It's just not happening. And so as a result, man, I'll do everything I can in my power to directly affect positive change in that area. And the most effective way, as I see it currently, is through my own programming, right? So where I control and dictate exactly what these kids will learn.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
Because I want to get to your book in a second, but I was just going to say, in the mentoring program, we had the boys take a walk around, just a walk around the block, the school and all that stuff, and just observe what they see. Like, what do you see? What's it make you think about? And we had a discussion and I promise you, we didn't like set discussion up and say, what do you see? What do you think? We talked about environmental racism. We talked about like litter and people like this one kid was like, I think people litter because we don't like where we live at and we're ashamed of it, so we kind of don't treat it well. But I was like, when I was outside, I didn't throw trash because I knew we were going outside as a group. And I was like, okay, well, like, how did this stuff make you feel? And it's like, well, it's kind of depressing seeing this as I walk to school. And this is the most, we had 100% participation in this conversation. like just talking through all these things. And like then we start thinking like, well, what needs to change? And I'm telling you, like, because I can just imagine the debate, like seeing these kids be so like confident or just speaking so well to like this point is what is missing in these schools. Like these kids care about their community.
Yeah.
If you give them space to talk about it, if you let them learn about it, they care about it, and that's where the learning starts. Is in something that they care about. And just to your point, like you can see oftentimes the kids are in spaces where it's just like there's no connection between what they're learning and what's important to them right now.
They don't see themselves in these books or like inside of these problems that are they don't see themselves there, so it's hard for them to even like be attached to it or care about it.
Absolutely.
But if you put something in front of them that is relevant to their lives, like all of our topics, we make sure that they're relevant.
Yeah.
They're relevant to what the kids actually care about. Some of the kids, they actually pick some of their topics to debate. So we keep that component like as like a driving factor of our organization. So,
I think that's important too, man, because I was just thinking as I was talking, the kids don't see themselves in the curriculum. They don't see themselves in people in the schools. And oftentimes we got some black people in these schools, and they don't see themselves in them.
Yeah.
Because some of them,
that's
got it twisted.
Yeah.
That's real.
And I'm gonna that's putting it gently, like they got it. They on some. I've heard some things come out of some black folks' mouth about black kids, and I'm like,
they can't identify with that.
Like,
kids
no, they like,
that.
who are you? Like, you treat me just like whoever else. So, we got to call that out too. We got to call white people out. Like, what's the first lady, Miss Biden, Dr. Biden?
Yeah,
Dr. Biden. I forgot to mention that earlier today too. Man.
LSU and
look, I'm gonna say this. I know I'm getting us. We got to call Dr. Biden out, First Lady Biden, as well as some of those teachers who look like those kids in those schools, because they no way. When do we start inviting the losing team to the White House?
Yeah, that's unheard of.
Come on, y'all. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hey.
But the
hypocrisy,
just a moment of silence
the hypocrisy
for like
was so evident they couldn't even backtrack
What?
because y'all were so hype about this Caitlin, who is good.
Oh,
and she can talk her trash.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine. But soon as Angel and them talk they trash, now it's classless.
We're gonna invite the losing team to the White House.
Because even after all that, even right, and then you invited them for what?
Okay, all right.
But
come on, people, wake up.
And I'm glad, and people will say, well, I'm glad Angel spoke out about what she wanted to speak out about. And she's young, and she's gonna make mistakes. But more importantly, I think like the most important thing for anybody to get out of that, for kids to get out of that, is her confidence in herself.
That's right.
That's what I want my black
right.
children
That's
to have.
right.
That's
Confidence in themselves.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't let nobody take that away from you.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm proud of her. I'm proud of her.
Man,
Absolutely.
Man, I'm happy. That this generation, I tell people down, what do they call them, Gen Zers? Because I talk to my students about this all the time. The Gen Zers are on to something, man.
Yeah.
Are you a Gen Z? You're a Gen Z too, right? You're
Yeah, 25, I think. I don't know. I
think you a Gen Z versus what? What's the other one?
What is it, millennial?
Millennials.
No, you ain't no millennial.
Yeah, we
because the millennials, they starting to hit 40 now.
Yeah,
like I'm on the cusp of the millennial and I'm beyond the little 40. So, but no, you're Gen Z. I'm just gonna make that if it's not the case. He is Gen Z. But though, like y'all have a way of thinking, and y'all like, I ain't putting up with this. Like I'm not about to just sit here and chill on out on things which is why our kids were resisting since the pandemic and continue to resist. People asking where the kids are. A lot of kids ain't returned to school.
Yeah, they ain't going back.
Cause they like, for what? Right? We still not learning because all we did was talk all this stuff we was gonna do, and we went back after the pandemic, and actually probably are in worse situations than we were before the pandemic, which I didn't think it can get
and
worse.
And we play in kids' face too.
Oh, yeah.
Kids have access to the internet. They have access to everything. I think that's what the generation is different. They see everything already, so you can't play in their face. You can't tell them it's Santa Claus. They already seen their parents pick up the gifts. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like you can't say that. This school's gonna help us. Like no, it's not. I'm looking at y'all. Y'all don't even want to be here. Like they see it, and so we gotta stop lying to them. We gotta make make a change. You wrote a book.
My bad,
No, you good. Because this connects to it. You wrote a book, letter to college black students?
A message to black college students.
Message to college blacks. Talk a little bit about that book and what was important for you in that.
Oh man, I love that book. I wrote that during a significant chapter of my life. Like I said, I wrote that book during the pandemic, right? I still was in college as I was writing it. And mind you, I was the president of the Black Student Union at the time as I was writing it at Western Michigan. And I would come home and I would see different communities and whatnot. And black excellence was like a huge theme. It still is, but back then it was like crazy high. Black excellence. and we would see all this black excellence in terms of lawyers, engineers, doctors, teachers, just a plethora of different individuals and professionals. And I would look in our communities, and that same level of black excellence was not reflected. And so I'm like, where's this disconnect, right? Like our most brightest and our most educated and the whole nine, right? Our leaders should be having a laser focus on our communities to make it better in whatever industry they're in. And I didn't see that happening. So a message to black college students essentially was to address that issue, right? Why aren't we using our talents to benefit the people who need it most? Us, right? Every industry you could think of, whether that's the law, teaching, medical, entrepreneur, whatever it is, there's a space and there's a void in the black community that needs to be filled in that regard. And I think black college students have a major responsibility to be of benefit to their community moving forward. And so that's what the message to black college students was about, addressing that issue. And then not just addressing it just to say, here's the issue, but actually pinpoint some strategies and ways that we could begin to be productive inside of our own communities because everybody else is doing it. So, and yeah, I mean, I think it's aging pretty well because I'm a black college student that went back to my community and making somewhat of a change. So that's what the message to black college students. And of course, there's more details in regards to it. But yeah, it's some historical context that I talk about in there, the Talented 10th theory, the Tale of Two Americas, and all those different components that play a role in our way of thinking that separate us oftentimes from our community once you reach a certain level of success, which is just not acceptable because our communities need us now more than ever, I would say, to be honest.
Can we Amazon your book?
Yep, Amazon, sure. Barnes & Noble.
What's the name? Say the book one more time.
A Message to Black College Students.
A Message to Black College Students. You can find it on Amazon.
Barnes & Noble or Pillar and Pride. Go to Pillar and Pride.
Go to Pillar and Pride.
Yep.
And get it. 7 Mile and Woodward. Tyree, I'm sorry to know your exact address, but you go Pillar and Pride. You look, once you get to 7 Mile or Woodward, either way, if you get to Woodward from 7 Mile coming from, what direction is that? I don't even know. You go past it. But it's there, so go check his book out there. I'm probably going to do Amazon, and I'm going to go get the book from, I'm going to go to Pillar Pride and get the book. But I'm, anxious to get the book. So I kind of want to, get it on Amazon today. Yeah. And then I'm going to go get another one, too.
I should have
brought the book, man.
I should have. I was pulling up. I'm like, dang. I looked in my backseat to grab my backpack, and I'm like, I forgot my
We'll held you back. You're now official friend of the, once you put on that shirt, you're now an ambassador of the organization, cool, and we're going to support each other now. So we'll definitely, I'm going to check that book out. We'll probably have you back to kind of go through the book because I want to read it because you got me hyped.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you'll enjoy it. What you all's organization stands for is exactly that, right? It's plugging in the void that the black community needs. And that's what I'm stressing. That's what I'm pleading with our people who have the knowledge and the skill sets to do, to be for the entire community.
And so one of the things I got out of the quote was collective success. And I think that ideology is, what's missing in schools, right? I think schools are set up for individualism just like this country is, right? Yep. And I think when you talk a little bit about black excellence, I think that some people are struggling with black capitalism and black excellence are not the same thing.
Yeah.
So you doing well for yourself is you doing well for yourself. That's not necessarily black excellence. I mean, you are black, and that is excellent. But to me, black excellence is you doing well to benefit the community.
Yeah.
Right? And that collective success idea is, I think that's something that we have to use in terms of, when we talk about bringing more black men in this community is for that reason, for collective success. All of us doing well helps us do well. You know what I mean? Exactly.
I feel like until you use whatever title you have, whether you're the elected official, whether you're the millionaire, the billionaire, until you use that for the advancement of your people, that's not black excellence, right? Once you use whatever gifts or talents you have to the advancement of bringing somebody else along with you, then that's how I define black excellence, right? The ability to do for more than just yourself, the collective success idea that you spoke about. That's my idea around black excellence, but it has to be that way. It has to be ingrained into our youth to think this way. Like you said, we've been ingrained to think as individuals, right? Get your money, lead the hood, right? Do this or that. Now you at this level, right? We separate ourselves, and we taught to do so, but we got to reverse that ideal if we want to advance. It won't happen no other way. We tried everything else. It won't work unless we, do some collective success type of thinking.
So I know we got to get ready and wrap up soon, man. This has been great. I do make sure I'm not tripping. So your social media, you do you have this book thing that people are doing, like people drop out
the
books
free
and
little
then.
libraries. Yep.
Did I feel like y'all be doing something out in the community trying to build? So can you explain a little bit about what that work is?
Got you. So the first thing you talking about is our free little library initiative.
Mm-hmm.
I would go to different communities and whatnot, and I would see these free little libraries. Give a book, take a book. They push literacy. I never saw them in my neighborhood. So me and my brother took it upon ourselves to go to Home Depot, watch like a little do-it-yourself video. We went to Home Depot, got the wood, and built free little libraries for our community.
Wow.
And we put them in the ground, painted red, black, and green. You know what time it is. Put them in the ground, and they've been successful. Our first one started off right outside the school. John R. King, the first school, the debate team. Like I said, it's all tied into the story. But put that one there. We end up having, like, it would be full, like completely full. Built about 3 or 4 more in my community, and those are doing pretty well in addition to that first one that we built. So that's the free little library initiative that we do. We build those free little libraries to push literacy, give a book, take a book, free of charge, a book to change your life, drop it off, let somebody else read it.
Now, we got some high school boys need some manual labor, and man, you should let me know next time you build some library.
Hey, we will.
On the east side, we be over there.
Oh, say less. We got one on the east side. I think it's Pingree Park. I think maybe, I don't know.
That's dope though.
Yep, and so we really gonna do that too, because we also created a space called Umoja Village. So we bought some land last year as an organization, 4 side lots from Detroit Land Bank that we bought, and we turned it to a community space. So there we have a community garden. We have a stage where the kids can actually debate outdoors. The community holds meetings there as well. Got some benches set up and a bunch of different art. So that's a space that we own. Like I said, we kind of pushing healthy eating, art expression, and then public speaking, debate, and community camaraderie. And that's a space on Detroit's west side, same neighborhood, 6 blocks away from where that first free little library is at, where my middle school was at, right there off Puritan and Schaefer. So,
man. See,
he got my vote.
Right. When you run for mayor, man, this guy here, man, as I told y'all earlier when we first got going, man, is brilliant. This is why, like, you know, I said earlier, man, he's serious about that work. Like going to Home Depot, you know, we got to get our own Home Depot.
Yeah.
Nah, we got to get our own because Home Depot. Interesting. But we'll get there. I'm sure we'll figure that out at some point. But like the work you're doing, man, in the community is just absolutely outstanding, and it's needed. And I appreciate you. And just keep doing it. And anything BMEA can do to support you, man, we down. Like you need help building the stuff, call us up. Okay. You know, you got paying information now. Like reach out and let's make this happen. We got a lot of young men that could use, be touched and supported by you, and we can support, and support the work you're doing at the same time. So I reach out to us, man. We're in this together. Yeah, absolutely. I know we serving in different purposes, but like as organizations, man, black organizations across this city, across this country, man, it's enough work to be done that we can do this together. Yep. Don't let these funders and these folks get us. Let me stop. I ain't gonna stop preaching today.
Man, I want to hit on that though, right quick.
Go ahead, hit on that.
Not the funding piece.
Well, whatever you want to hit on.
But the point you made is so many different things that we're working on as a collective, and that's why Tyree introduced us. I don't know if you remember. That's the reason why. I wanted to start, and it's gonna happen like a black organization coalition or some sort, right? The black economics part of the community, the engineers, the educators, the politicians, right? We have to work together to make this. Everything affects everything.
Absolutely.
Education is affected by the economics of the community. The economics of the community is affected by the politics of that community, right? And all those different things play a role and they intertwine. So the quicker we work together, the quicker our condition holistically, improves. So now I want to throw that in there.
No, please do. That is why we connected.
That's super important. And that's like one of the missions of my personal goals is to get people in the right room, people that are like-minded. Like you mentioned, because everybody ain't on the same type of time, regardless if they're black or not.
You hear me?
But the ones who are like-minded to get us all in one room to come up with some plan, right?
Yeah.
Long-term and short-term.
And that, and then I'll say this, man, on the show, let's not wait. If it's just the two of us, 2 organizations or 3, and we got 4, let's just Because sometimes you just got to get going.
Yep.
I'm that quick start kind of dude. Like, let's just go. And then it'll build and snowball and build and people will come on board. But sometimes we be waiting to get everybody the right pieces in place. We wasting time, man. Let's go.
Yep,
People hop on as they
let's
say.
go.
Yeah,
Let's go.
That idea was last year.
Yeah,
You're
no,
right.
that's right.
That's
Let's go.
a great
Let's
point.
go, man. Like I'm ready.
Yeah.
I know what we have the resources and support to do. I know what you're trying to do, and I know we continue to do this work. And I tell you, I'm gonna do this regardless. I'm gonna do this regardless. Wherever I go, when I'm at Michigan State, I'm doing this work. Right. So let's definitely make sure we connect and get it going.
Yeah, man. That'd be dope. And so we got the mentoring program. We got 50 guys that need that can connect with your debate team and can connect with the work you do in the neighborhood. Because we're literally doing the same thing. We just talked about what can we do to revitalize the area and build community gardens. Yeah, man. It's because it's in the same mindset, right?
Oh, man.
We want to revitalize. And to the point earlier, I think that when we talk about building the community up, the people who are successful, like the adults who are successful, have to reach back to teach the kids what they can do to the community.
Exactly.
Because our schools aren't doing it. Our schools aren't teaching kids about blight.
Yep.
Our schools ain't teaching kids about gardening. Our schools aren't teaching our kids, like, you know what I mean, revitalization and health and all those things in community. So we got to be the ones to do it as community members, like you said, so that that's something that they'll want to do. If I'm a dentist, I can bring other young guys into the office and, like, let them internship or let them show them about their health and all their teeth and all those things. Like, we have to do that so we have more dentists in our communities. And that's how we,
plant the seeds.
Plant the seeds, absolutely.
Plant the seeds. It's cool. Like, this has to become a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, and right now, that's why I'm, like, the youth rocking with it. Like, I'm 25, and I'm the second oldest on my staff. Like, everybody else is 24 and under. We got one 26-year-old, I'm 25, right? So this is something that's becoming, like, cool to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's important to the movement, to keep it going, to keep embracing the young ones.
Yeah.
So, man, I thank y'all. Thank y'all for having me, man.
Look, you're going to be here a lot, man. We're going to make you one of our just co-hosts at some point. Don't worry.
Keep the shirt, man.
Don't worry. You can have the shirt. It's yours. We'll get you another one, too. And a little sweatshirt. Yeah, go.
No, anything before we close up?
No, man, I think it's been good, man. It's, really nice shopping with you. I had a lot of hot topics and stuff in my head, but I'm going to leave that alone for another day. I did want to get in that Dr. Biden one, so I'm glad I slid that one in all smooth, because that really was, like, burning me up last night. Like, what? But no, things, man, look, y'all, it's a lot of crazy stuff going on out here. Sure. I ain't gonna even say crazy, it's very intentional, right? And so from Florida, what the man, that human is doing down in Florida with our schools and everybody hopping in, I wanna hop and go to Miami, I wanna move to Florida. Man, y'all better pay attention to what's happening. He is slowly but surely acting like a dictator down there in Florida. Yeah. So we got to pay attention to that. Stuff is happening here. We just need to be, just beginning, because I think we get distracted by the wrong stuff. Yeah. I actually really don't care about what's going on with Trump. Yeah. Right? And they keep, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah. Right? That's some other stuff. I want to know if they got that water fixed in Mississippi, if they still getting clean water down there in Mississippi. Yeah, right. In Jackson, Mississippi, is that really cleaned up yet? Mm-hmm. Right? I want to go and get a report back on what's happening in Flint. Right, I want to see, but let me stop. Anyway, y'all, it's real though. It's just that, and we can't get distracted by that nonsense. So anyway, appreciate you, brother. That's all I got to say. For sure, I'm good. For sure, man. Let the people know where they can follow you, find you, get the book, and all that.
Yep. So books can be found at Pillar and Pride. That's first and foremost. If you out of state, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any bookstore you could think of. Walmart got it. All those different, chains carry the book. On social media, I'm Jerjuan.Howard. On Instagram, Facebook, Jerjuan Howard, but just follow me on Instagram. Facebook mostly for the family stuff. Yeah. I mean, I don't got no Twitter, so. But the debate team can be found at Umoja Debate Team. That's UMOJA Debate Team on any type of social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all of that. And again, my Instagram is Jerjuan.Howard. That's spelled JerjuanHoward. Thank you, brother.
Nah, thank you, man. And so we'll be back April 27th, I believe, for the next podcast.
We're going to Chicago next week. We got a lot of stuff going on.
We got a lot of stuff in between that. So you'll see us again. We'll be in Chicago for the AERA conference. We'll be in San Diego for the ASU GVSU conference.
You talking about GVSU? ASU GSV.
GSV. There you go. It's too many initials.
It is something. It's something like that.
It's called the tech.
We taking our fellows. Our teacher wellness, our teacher fellows are going out to Chicago, and all of our. So we taking like what 15 to 17 people to Chicago with us, and then we go to San Diego. We taking another 15 to 18 people out there who's part of the organization. We're doing the work, so we taking this party on the road.
Which is why it's important for y'all to donate.
Donate.
Absolutely.
Donate.
And donations.
This ain't free.
It is not.
This
but
ain't
we're doing
free.
the work, and we are 501c3.
We are 501c3.
So yes, absolutely. So we'll be back at the end of the month, but you'll hear from us while we're at those conferences. This has been the BMEA Podcast, lifting our voices. Thank you. Peace.
Peace.
You are now listening.
You are now listening to the Black Male Educators Alliance podcast.
Lifting our voices.
Lifting our voices.